Welcome to this lecture on API Gateway. In this session, we will explore what API Gateway is, how it works, and why it is a crucial tool for building and managing APIs in your serverless applications. API Gateway is a service provided by AWS that makes it easy to create, to publish, and to manage APIs. But before we dive deeper, let's do a quick recap. What is an API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is a way for applications to communicate with each other, often to exchange data. For example, if you are on a website that shows you the weather, that website is using an API to get weather data from another application. API Gateway acts as your API manager. It allows you to build APIs that serve as a front door for applications to access data, business logic, or functionality from your backend services. It helps connect various AWS services like AWS Lambda to the internet. In API Gateway, there are methods and routes. Methods refer to the HTTP verbs like get or post. Routes are the endpoints of your application, such as /movies/movie ID. You define your API with these methods and routes, and you configure what happens when an endpoint is accessed. For example, you can trigger a Lambda function. API Gateway offers two main advantages: security and monitoring. First, security. With API Gateway, you can create API keys. Before any action is triggered, API Gateway verifies the API keys and rejects the request if it is incorrect. Additionally, you can configure authorization with Cognito user pools if you are familiar with AWS. The second advantage is monitoring. You can define quotas to limit the number of requests an API can receive. If the quota is exceeded, API Gateway will stop responding. You can also throttle your API, slowing down the rate of requests to prevent your system from being overwhelmed. These settings are managed through usage plans. Furthermore, you can access detailed metrics, such as the number of 500 or 404 errors in AWS CloudWatch, which is AWS's free monitoring tool. API Gateway is often used to build APIs for mobile or web backends and for microservices architectures. It can process up to 10,000 requests per second simultaneously, making it highly scalable. And like other serverless tools, it's cost efficient. You only pay for the number of API calls made and the amount of data transferred. API Gateway also supports stages, allowing you to separate your development and production environments. You can have a dev stage and a prod stage, for instance. API Gateway enables you to fine-tune your API with methods and routes, but you can also use it as a proxy. In this mode, all requests are sent to your Lambda function. This is exactly what we will be doing in the next lecture. That is a very brief overview of API Gateway. In the next lecture, we will create our own API in API Gateway and link it to a Lambda function. See you there!